Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and welcome to video number 4 in these ExpressJS deep dive, these 60-minute deep dives. So this will probably be the last one because I'm kind of like out of more Express-specific stuff to say. So I mean, there's more stuff you can do with Express, but like you probably have plenty to do as a beginner, because I'm assuming you're a beginner if you're watching this video. Now, again, you can always expand by trying out more different templating engines. Okay, I do have a tutorial, so if you head over to resources.alexmercedcoder.com, and I'll give it a second to load. If we head over to the Express section, here we go, Express. You have different tutorials. Like if you want to try out the other frameworks in Node, like Koa or Fastify, there's a tutorial there, so you can see them all side by side. If you want to try out the different templating libraries, like Handlebars, Mustache, and Pug, you can try those there. But the general principles of okay, I render a template using the res.render function. Basically, how does an HTTP server work? And in the context of Node, these principles you now have after watching this video series, you can now take these tutorials and really take them to the next level, work with different databases. I do need to create one to show you how to, well, here's one I have where I work with Postgres and Nex, but I still need to make one for SQLize and more formally objection and all that stuff, so that way you can see all those variations on it. But lots of tutorials here that show you all sorts of really cool stuff for you to play with. So definitely check all that out here on this page. Again, resources.alexmercedcoder.com. There's even stuff in other languages: Python, Ruby, PHP, Go, Rust, Java, C#. There's plenty to keep you busy here. Okay, so let me close that out. What I want to do today is just show you how you can incorporate, if you're doing templating, you're doing server-side templating with EJS or Handlebars. It doesn't really matter what templating framework you use. You can incorporate things like Alpine JS and HTMX to give you some front-end powers. Because usually the reason, usually you have templating, but templating generates up the page before the page loads in the user's browser. So that means EJS and other templating languages are only powerful to create the initial state of a page. But what if you want things to be interactive and change? That's where you need front-end code. And usually that's why a lot of people switched over to using things like React, Angular, Vue, Svelte, Solid.js. Now, Alpine and HTMX say, hey, how about instead of you writing lots and lots of JavaScript, we'll give you some ways to use your HTML a little bit smarter. Okay, so that way you can get those sort of reactive front-end vibes without it being so, without having to write so much JavaScript, because you can write it in your HTML. So first, let's just add these. The easiest thing to do first is just add these to our head partial. So let me go find the script tag. Here it is. So that's not the right URL I would like. Let's go to the docs. So the docs are right up here. Okay, here we go. That's the full URL. That's what I want. Okay, so this is what's called the CDN link. We're gonna I can just copy this whole script tag. That would be even smarter. So I'll copy that whole script tag, and then I'm just gonna add it over to go back to our views, go to the partials, and go to head, and just add this in there. There we go. Now we have Alpine available to all our pages. And then, because again, every page has that includes at the top. I'll head over to HTMX. I'm going to copy that same script tag. Boop. Okay, add that. So now I have both these libraries available to me. Okay, and let's just show how we could use those to spruce up our templates. Okay, so now with pigs, let's go to the show page, actually the index page. So let's say I wanted to make it, actually let's go to the show page. Let's say I wanted to make it where you see the H2 and H1, but you have to click on the H1 to make the age appear, just to make it a little bit more dynamic. Okay, what I might want to do is wrap these in a div. Okay, and then put the H2 and the H1 in the div. Because what you can do with Alpine, so this is an Alpine thing, what you can do is you create this div here, and I can say here we're going to have a property called xData. I think it's xData. Let me just double check here. Alpine. Go right over here. Yeah, so xData. And then in xData, you're able to define a JavaScript object that becomes sort of variables you can use inside that element. So this div, I'm able to use this data. Okay, and we're just going to have a variable called show that's initially set to false. Okay, so that's initially set to false, and now what I want to do is I want to set it that using this X show directive, and again, basically it's just a handful of directives. So you see you have all these little directives you can stick in your HTML that do different things, and you can kind of see what they do by just reading the documentation here pretty easily. Okay, but I can say here I want to make this H2. I want to say X show only show this if show is true. So I just X show equals show, and then what I'm going to do here, we want to make this, we want to make it when we click on the H1 that it makes the H2 appear. So let's see if we can do that. Where is, yeah, X on. That's the one for events. So we say here is a X on. That's the event click, and then this is what happens when that click occurs. Okay. So let's see here. So I go here and I say X on click, meaning when you click on this thing, I want you to take the show variable and make it equal not show, meaning the opposite of what it is currently. So if it's false, it'll be equal true. If it's true, it's going to equal false, etc. And that's it. Now I should be able to go to a view page. So if I go back to /pigs, I click on Porky. See, right now I only see Porky. I don't see the age, but if I click on Porky, the age appears, and I can toggle it on and off. So you see, like, even though I'm not reloading the page is just changing, and that's the beauty of like the front end. In the front end, I can make things change after the page is loaded, but usually you would have to write like a whole lot of JavaScript in React, Angular, Vue to make that happen quite as smoothly as we did here. With Alpine, I can still just use my EJS templates and just sprinkle in what I need. Okay, so that's the benefit of like Alpine. Okay, so that's like pretty cool. Okay, how that works. So we see we just use a little bit of Alpine, and we were able to create a little interactivity, and you can do a lot more. Again, there's like 14 different directives. Each of these kind of will walk you through like what they're used for and how you can use them. Okay, so you just go to alpinejs.dev, so check that out. Okay, and so like that's the power of like Alpine.js. I can do something simple like that, but just like imagine like things that you want to happen after, like make certain parts of the page appear. Yeah, just like minor little like front-end interactivity, because again, your template's already handling a lot of the more logic parts of it. Okay. Now, if you're using the API approach, then you're going to want a full-end framework, a full-end front-end framework like React, Svelte, Vue, Angular, Solid.js, Riot.js. There's a whole bunch of them. Okay. So that's like in HTMX, we can use that. This is more for like swapping out like HTML. So instead of us having to go to like a separate HTML page, I can use my templates to just represent a piece of the page. Okay. So for example, I can do something like this. Okay. Let's go back to my show page. Okay. Here's the show, and see this edit button here. Oh, wait a second. I just realized that I need to make another branch before I change too much more. Okay. So let me undo this, because only stuff I've done so far. That's fine. It'll include what it includes. So pushy, or just do git add dot git commit dash m update git push origin video 3, and then let's do git checkout dash b video 4. Okay, so that way you have it on a separate branch. So there's going to be a few things that end up getting stuck on the previous branch, but it's fine. Okay, so I'm here on the 4th branch, and now what I want to do is we're going to change this button so that way when you click the button, when you click on that edit button, instead of what it's going to do, it's going to target this div with the ID of form. Okay. And we're going to want the form to appear there. So how do we do that? Okay, we're going to use HTMX. Okay, so we're going to say when this button is clicked, so where's the button over here? So I can get rid, no, not all of that yet. Okay, but let's just go back and take a look at the example. clicked, HTMX swap outer HTML. Okay. Docs. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So essentially what's going to happen is that when we click this button, so we're going to say HX, I think it's click. Well, first we'll say post. That's going to be the method that's going to happen. And it's going to make the request to here. Okay. It's going to go get put this, so it's going to get this. So instead of using this link, what I want to do is instead of you taking to another page with a form, I just want to inject the form right here on this page. Okay, so when we trigger the event, it's going to do a post request to that URL. Okay. Oh, not HX post. Actually, I want to do an HX get because we're just getting the form. So HX get. Okay. And I want the trigger to be a click. Okay, so HX trigger is going to be a click. So you're going to say, hey, when you click on the button, HX trigger equals click. Okay, and then we're going to specify the target, like where to load the HTML. So HX target parent div. So we're going to say HX target equals the ID of form, because that's what this div has, the ID of form. So we just say hashtag form. And then we're going to say HX, the way it treats it is that the HX swap, like how does a swap occur? I don't want to replace the div in case I want to change it again. So I'm going to say HX swap inner HTML, which means it just copies the HTML from the request. I forget, it's just inner, or I say outer HTML. Okay, so inner HTML. Okay, so now what's going to happen is that instead of me going to a separate edit page, it's going to make the request to the edit template, but then it's going to take that HTML and inject it over here in this empty div. So let's try that out. Let's see if that works now. So if I go here and I click on edit, oh, the server's not on. Okay, so that would be good to do. npm run dev. Okay. So I click here, refresh. I click on edit. So right now, see what it did? Porky is still up here. And I can still click on Porky and see the number. So see, like, it didn't take me to another page. So again, I go back to the main page. I click on Petunia. I have this page. I click on edit, and see it's just injecting the form up here and the button, and then I can edit it. And I click update pig. And now Petunia 2. I go back over here, and again, I still have Alpine here where I click on that and make that appear. So see, it kind of gives that kind of cool, a little bit of a nicer dynamic experience. So that's the beauty of using like HTMX. It's something you can like sprinkle in a few like sort of key places, depending on how you want the experience to look like, and just make it happen. Again, all I'm saying is that instead of me making a link that takes me to a separate page, I'm just saying request that page, but inject it in the current page. That's what HTMX is allowing me to do. Say, make a request to this URL, take the HTML, instead of taking you to a separate page, take that HTML and put it in the target place on the page. And then Alpine is just saying, okay, I have this little batch of variables, the X data, and I want you to do some things based on those variables. Okay, and then and you get to put it all in your HTML. I don't have to write a separate JavaScript file for it, which is really, really cool. Now, what if I did want to write like a separate JavaScript file and use it? Okay, like maybe I want to use jQuery or something. Well, that's where our static folder from like the first video comes into play. I could make a JavaScript file in here, new file. We'll just call it, app.js. And now in my head tag, I could include my JavaScript file, like I include these, and just say script source equals / app.js. Okay, and I put my defer tag just in case. And there we go. So now, because again, the way the static folder works, / means the public folder. So it's going to look inside the public folder and look for app.js, which is in there. And now I have it available. So I can write in like a console.log. Hey, this works. Okay, and now if I go to my page here, like every page should be attached to this JavaScript file now. And I should say, hey, this works. We'll have to refresh the page. But see, hey, this works. There it is. And I still have all the Alpine and HTMX stuff going on. So I have a lot of tools I can use. And the same thing with a CSS file. I can just make a CSS file in the public folder, add the link tag to use, separate CSS. So that's pretty cool. Okay, and you can use multiple includes. So I could create like an include for like a header, footer. So if I want everything to have like the same navigation bar, okay, I can sit here and put like a new file in here. We'll call it nav.ejs. Okay. Okay, so now in this nav.ejs, what we can do is we can create just like just a normal navigation bar. So I'll create a div, and actually what I'll do is I'll use a nav tag. Just makes it easier for when we do the CSS. So nav, and then inside the nav there's a bunch of divs, each one representing a link. I'm not gonna worry about actually making real links right now. It's just the appearance of one, and we'll just say like this is like link. Oh. Okay, fine. I'll just write link for all of them. So link. Okay. So there's like that. Now that should now what I want to do is I'm going to include that on all my pages. So I just go to each page now, and I can add another include. And now I can include partial / nav. And again, I can do the same thing for like a header. I can do it for a footer. You know, I can create certain chunks of my pages so that way every page always has like the same layout. So now if I put that there, and again, I'm going to add this to each. And you know what I could do to make this even easier? I could actually just make this be included in head, so that way I don't have to like redo all that. So I can just say, boop, that gets included there. And so now with every head, the navigation bar gets included. And now if I hit refresh, see now I got this bar here. It's not styled yet, so we need to make it styled. So what I'm going to do is make a CSS file. So in my public folder, I'll create a styles.css. Then in my head.ejs, I'll include a CSS tag, or link. Well, let's just do it this way. Link CSS. So rel style sheet href style.css. And this actually is going to be styles.css because that's the name of my file here. And yeah, now I can styling it. So I can say like, hey, I want the nav bar, or I want the nav to be a flex box. Display flex. Okay, I'm going to want it to have some padding. Okay, let's say 15 pixels. I'm going to want the background color to be black. Yeah, fine. Black, and the font color to be white. I want the divs to have the justify content. I want it to be space around. And now if I refresh. Oh, wait a second. Styles.css, yes. And I included the styles.css here. Oh, but I had to put a slash. Okay, /styles.css, because it's got to be a relative URL, so it's got to look like a URL. So /styles.css. Now, there we go. Okay, and so now I have this, and now again, if I go to any page, okay, well that's now opened up a separate page that got rendered again. So that's one thing you got to be careful for, because see, now that I'm using HTMX to pull in another template, since I have that header on every template, it re-added it there because that's the HTML that got sent back. But I hit update, you know, then that's there. I go click on a particular pig, and it's there because I always have that there. So technically what I would want, with the way I'm doing this, is I would want to take this off my edit form. Take that out, so that way when I click to edit, it shouldn't add it, but it did. Let's see here. I think it's because it used let's see here, let's restart the server. Okay. Okay, so let's refresh pigs 1. I click edit. Now, why is it still grabbing this? Because technically now when I'm generating edit.ejs, it shouldn't be doing that include anymore. So I have a feeling it's technically doing like Let's see here, network. Let's take a look. Okay, this was, yep, let's see, it's a 304. Okay, that means it used the cached version. So what I would need to do, I'm gonna hold shift. I'll continue to hold shift. Okay, well, now that disappeared. Why? I didn't take it off the, what URL am I at? Pig, so let's go back to edit. Hit update pig. This looks fine. And that looks fine. And then when I click edit, that still includes that. Because it's still doing the 304 somewhere. Let's see here, network. Where is this? HTMX.org. So here's the response. And yeah, so see, like, that head is still being added on. Did I change the wrong one? Edit. For some reason, it's just not picking up on that change. Include partial.nav. Here in edit, I don't even include head anymore. That's just a weird fluke. Okay, so let's see here. If I go back to the main page again, I hit shift, refresh, so that way we get a fresh refresh. Click on a particular pig, click on edit, and yeah, it's still generating this template. I think I know why. Because even though I commented it out, that's not a comment in EJS. EJS still picks up on it and injects the code there. So in that case, what I need to do is just remove this altogether. I think that's the issue. Like, these are HTML comments, not EJS comments. EJS I don't think really has comments. So in that case, now let's go back to update pig, back to the main page. I click on Porky, I click on edit. Yeah, that's better. Okay, but you can start really kind of composing pieces to reduce the amount of work you're doing again and again from page to page, because they can all work off the same CSS file. You know, you sprinkle in a little reactivity with HTMX and Alpine. You can use the partials to like repeat certain things that need to be repeated over and over again, and really just be able to have like these really robust pages with a lot less work. So that's pretty cool. I'm trying to think if there's any other sort of really valuable pieces of Express knowledge. But otherwise, no, everything just kind of connects the way we've been doing it. Again, there's more of things that you would want to do next is kind of like use different templating engines, use different types of databases and ORMs to connect to those databases to just kind of keep expanding like your knowledge of working with Express. But essentially at this point, like, you should kind of have a good idea of like how you set things up. You just create a route, you create your templates, or you send JSON if it's an API, and you just ask yourself, what do you want your app to do, and then just make an app that does that. Always start with like where is it going first, so that way you can kind of start thinking about what code you need instead of trying to think about what code you need before you know what your app is going to do. But otherwise, have a great day and enjoy us. See y'all later.